This is patron exclusive content, and this is a private session with Joe Hongthong Gym. So you can do that jump when you have them turtled up. That's something that Nam Kabuin teaches as well, is that you punch to get people to put their hands up, and then they can't really see, and so you do this jumping elbow down the center or even on top of their head. He's saying it's Muay Baran, but you can still use it. So look at his hip and his foot when he throws that fansok on the left side. It's like a hook, but he comes across his body more than a hook. You can see the rotation blade of his shoulders. It's really smooth. So the left one comes more horizontal, and then the right one is a little bit higher, like coming down at a diagonal. And then there he's showing that you can kind of parry the jab down first and then throw the elbow over it. So you see the first one is on his chin and the second one is kind of up by his temple. And so here he's showing me how you can elbow as someone is kneeing, and you just kind of want to step off. You can throw a hook as well, but you have to stay really close if you're going to throw that elbow on the knee. You have to twist right next to their body. So he's like, now do a short one. And you can see I'm taking too much space. I need to stay much closer to him. I asked him, do I stay or do I turn? And he says, you try, now your style. So basically try stuff. Like, there's no one correct way to do it. It's however it works for you. So he wants you to try it. So he's saying if you don't want to clinch, you throw the elbow to kind of scare them off, and then you can initiate the clinch, or you can do whatever you want to do. So this is basically a counter to knee fighters. So there I need to step in closer again. On that parry, you need to already be moving in. See how he puts his knee up first and then steps in with that elbow? It's a fake, but it's so measured. You should do that movement anyway, even if it's not a fake. So he's saying if you're Muay Khao, you just constantly move forward. So fight with Muay Mat, he says. If you're fighting with someone who's a boxer who punches, then you're going to have to deal with the hands rather than the knees. So he's showing how you can't get past that arm. So you put your arm out straight and then turn it into an elbow. But you have to keep your other arm in this foreblock or in the Dracula guard to protect against his uppercuts, because he's doimat, which means that he's going to be punching. So the guard collapses into an elbow. He wanted me to figure out which elbow to throw there. So you can see how he parries and then goes over it. But the parry is very small. So here he's showing how to use that samrak elbow. And he's saying that you don't use it when the fight is close, and you don't use it when you're too close. So here he's showing how to actually do the style and the technique, which is so pretty. But he says you do it when you're already ahead, so it's a style point. You don't want to do this as like the fight is close and I'm trying to win thing. It's when you're already ahead and you're kind of showing you can't catch me. He says that it's really good to do off of the ropes when someone is coming towards you. So he's showing how you jab to keep your distance. And then when you're at the correct distance, that's when you can throw that elbow because they're charging in. And that's another reason why you do this when you're already winning, is that someone's going to be chasing you. So you want to throw this elbow on someone who is advancing on you. You don't want to do it as you're coming towards someone as much. He's like, when the fight is close, don't do that. When you already win and you're teeping and jabbing and staying back, it's just for style. So he's showing how you teep first to like stop the person, and then you can throw that elbow. So this is the spinning elbow, which is similar to the samrak elbow in that you want to do it when someone is coming towards you. You can't chase someone with the spinning elbow. He's showing how if he's going backwards and I try to do the elbow, you basically just chase air. But if he's coming towards you, he's going to walk into it. So he's trying to ask me about this guy in America who does this elbow, and I didn't know who he was talking about, but it was a lion fight. I think it was Gaston who did these spinning elbows in the fights. But I had heard from Ajahn Surat, who is the trainer of the national team, that this elbow is not for Thai people, which is something that Joe talked about a little bit as well. It's too stylistic. Basically, it's the same as that samrak elbow in that it's just for style. It's not something that you throw when you're trying to win the fight. It's something you throw when you're already winning the fight. But he says that for Farang it's okay. You see Farang throw this elbow all the time. So there he's showing, since he's already in the corner, he's not going to be able to get away from it. So that's me coming in, being able to throw that elbow. But otherwise you want him coming in. And here he's talking about how important it is to step across. So watch, his left foot has to step outside my left foot. Otherwise he's going to spin past my shoulder and not hit me. So you set that up with like a jab or a hook, something that's going to make it so that you can bring that foot across. And then I ask, how do you get out of it? And he's like, you come back, don't do a full spin. He's like, it's not illegal, it's just stupid. So you do the backwards elbow and you spin back out, but you have to do it really quickly. You don't want to do the full turnaround. He's like, spin back. For me, it's easier to do one side over the other, but I think that's because of my stance. So you pretty much just have to train both sides to be comfortable going in either direction. He says only a half second, talking about how you have to like hit it and move back really quickly. Because you're stunning the person. They can totally hit you while you're trying to switch back, unless you knock them with it. Alright, so here he wants me to just start using the elbows that we've just worked on. So he's immediately putting it into context. So you learn all of the technique, and then immediately you start implementing them. And you have to practice, where is that opening? How do I set it up? How is he setting it up? Where is he open when he's doing things? This is why sparring and working together in a like real-time setting is so important for honing your techniques. So he's talking about the distance for these elbows. He's like, if you're too far away, do something first to set it up to come in. So he's going to show how you can do it off of a parry. So he's saying he's femur. So he's basically teeping and trying to keep me off. So I parry his teep and then do the elbow to come in. This is interesting. He's talking about being a counter striker, and the language he's using is interesting. He's saying there are people who start the game, and then there are people who are Duuglas-Ittu, which means like the second rhythm, and that's a counter striker. So as a knee fighter, generally you're hitting first. But if you're going backwards, it's very hard to be the one who's hitting first. So you turn into a counter striker. But you have to know what the person is going to be hitting with in order for you to counter. So he's saying if you have two counter strikers, nobody starts the game. Like, you just never hit each other. So he's saying that you have to go from being the person who starts the game, which is the person who strikes first, to turning into the counter fighter. So you see that he's teeping, so you know he's going to teep again, and then you know how to counter it, but you have to have your second move ready. So if you parry, you have to know what you're going to hit him with second. So he's saying now, don't always just stand in the middle like this, because you can just teep, teep, teep. See how he counters it? He just moves slightly, because he knows I'm going to teep. So all he has to do is move a slight bit, and he's saying it's slippery anyway from Vaseline and oil, and so the hand just has to help a little bit to push it, but mostly you're just moving your body. And here he's saying the jab, you can put it on someone's face, you can jab, you can elbow. It's not about power, it's about being annoying with your left side. So it's the same thing Diesel Noi talks about, where you kind of set up with your left side, and then your power side is when you've already set up. So now he wants me to start putting things together so that it's not just one move, but you have to have the second option ready. So if I'm going to counter him, I have to know what I'm going to do after that. If I get countered, I have to know what I'm going to do after that. So he's saying you teep first, and if you're close, you can elbow. But if you teep and you're still far, you have to use another movement that's for that distance. So basically he's talking about how when you're cutting off distance or cutting off space, you basically have ever shortening weapons. So your teep and your kick are long, and then your punch and your knee are mid-range, and then elbows and like deep knees are really close range. So if you think of it as like walking towards someone with a staff, you have to keep making your staff shorter and shorter as you come in, and that's what's dictating which weapons you're going to be using. Don't try to throw an elbow from like 3 feet away. And so I'm saying if you want to elbow, first you have to move them into the ropes, because it's a short range weapon. So you really want to put them somewhere where they can't go backwards. So you do teep, teep into the ropes, and then because he can't move, that's when you do something short range or jumping. So he's basically saying you have to set up your clinch. You do all of these weapons to get close enough to grab for the clinch. And he's saying this to me because he's seen me where I just kind of like walk in and from any distance try to get to the clinch. He's like, don't worry about clinching yet, you need to get closer first. So he's backing up, he's throwing his kicks, which means I need to use my longer weapons to cut that off and get close enough to clinch. And so you'll see, as we change range, which weapons he's using. So now he's saying he's going to turn it up a little bit. He's not going to let it be easy. So So he's saying if you only kick, people are going to check it, they'll catch it, they'll throw you down. So you have to use teeps and kicks. The teep is to off balance so they can't kick. So he's imitating me in my last fight, saying that I just marched forward. He's saying, I wanted to tell you in your last fight, you can't just come in like this. You have to use teeps. Because that opponent can just keep kicking, and kicks score. So see how he's blocking as he comes in? He says, I'm hungry boy. And he wants to just come in and close that distance. So if he's just charging forward, but blocking at the same time, it's very hard to keep him off. He's saying like a tiger, so you just keep coming forward, and then once you grab, that's when you just devour your opponent. So as a knee fighter, your energy goes up when you grab someone. But it's basically this relentless pursuit of being able to grab someone, and you have to use these weapons to get in. He's doing a nice rendition of a Muay Khao fighter there. So dern means to walk, to like relentlessly go forward. And he's like, dern, but smart dern. Like, don't just walk forward and get hit. So he's saying you can't only have energy, you have to have technique. But you can't only have technique, you have to have energy as well. And so I'm saying, as a knee fighter, in rounds 1 and 2, a femur fighter still has energy. So you can't just relentlessly go forward. You have to use these techniques to wear them down. But rounds 3, 4, 5, they get tired. And a knee fighter never gets tired. So that's when you come in and really start chewing on them. So he's saying in Thailand, round 4 is the most important. So that's when you want to really take your lead. And then in round 5, even as a knee fighter, you can kind of start going back and make someone chase you. But he's like, finish your job in round 4, and then you don't have to worry so much about round 5. He's saying if you win round 4 in Thailand, it's very hard for your opponent to come back in 5. So now he's talking about show. So in the later rounds, you've already done the work to put in your weapons to wear out your opponent. But in rounds 3 and 4, you want to demonstrate dominance more than you have previously. So this arching up, where you're lifting the leg, this is showing in the same way that samrak elbow is showing that you're ahead. So you want to make your points more dramatic in rounds 3 and 4 to like really win those rounds. So he wants you to catch that kick and pull because it's a dramatic point. So he's showing how you can always catch someone's kick, but in those rounds that you really want to win, you show that shadow knee that he throws on top. That's just showing that he could have gotten me. That's not a missed knee. It's demonstrative. So here what I'm doing is I'm like catching him and countering, but I'm not making it dramatic enough. That was dramatic. That's good. But see how he pulls and throws that elbow? You can see how I can't do anything, whereas he's completely on balance. So the difference between his movement and my movement in this round is making dramatic points of dominance for him. So I need that little pull to off balance him at the same time, like that. That's a cool point, but if I'm off balance while he's throwing that point, it's way more dramatic. You like that one? Elbow from hell, he says. So he's showing the difference between left and right. So when you catch there, because he's open on my left side, I'm just going to hit his body. But if you go on this side, then you can do more of a throw. So he's making fun of me because I'm not throwing the final point after off-balancing him. To just off-balance someone isn't the point itself. You want to off-balance them and then throw something, and whether you land it or not, it's very dramatic. So here we're putting it together again. You can see he's dictating the different ranges. So teeps at a long distance, and then I have to work my way in. And he's basically playing the femur fighter, like he's backing up and forcing me to dictate the range. So this part was tricky for me. You catch the leg, and with the same side that you've caught the leg, you put your foot on their standing leg and then scissor with your hand the other direction. See how I go with the wrong leg? I caught with my left arm, so I have to go with my left leg. He's left side, then his right side is going to push my face, but his left leg is going to go to the back of my leg. So you want to kick with the same leg as the side that you caught the leg with, and then you just scissor with the opposite hand. And you don't have to hit very hard at all. Like it's actually very gentle on the leg, and it just, because you're going right down by the foot, there's no way they can keep standing. He's not even really pulling me. If you pull, it makes it faster, but you don't even have to. So here, see how far back I'm staying? You have to step in. And there, I just barely touched his leg, and he didn't try to stay standing up. But you don't have to hit that hard. So again, I did the wrong side. So there I figured out to go with the right side, and then you just push his head, and he's going to go over it. So leg and hand opposite, he says. That's how you scissor.
It's very light. You don't use any power. It's just because you have the leg. When you go like this, it's off balance.
So their standing leg and their head needs to be all in one line for them to stay standing. So by just barely touching their leg to keep it in one spot and then pushing their head, it flips it. It's like if you have a spoon balancing and you just tip the top, the whole thing's going to fall over. If he can't keep his foot and his head all in one line, he's going to fall down. He was going to elbow me there. And again, I did the wrong leg. And there, when he fell against the ropes, I should have thrown that phantom knee. So there, you can see it's just a small coming forward.